I outreach to everybody and anybody so that they can practice safer sex, get tested, and know their status. I typically reach out specifically to older adults because I find that they're the least educated, the most undereducated, and the last to be tested. Older adults go to the doctor with complaints, and the doctor assumes it's due to aging, whereas a younger person can have the same complaints, and the doctor will assume that they maybe need to be tested for HIV or some other STD. So older adults are being tested later, and their numbers are escalating. It's transmitted sexually. There are older adults that do use drugs, okay? Primarily with older adults it is sexual, but it's the same as with younger people, except that most people don't want to think that older adults are sexually active. Most younger people don't want to think their grandparents are sexually active. Most doctors are younger than their older patients, so they don't stop to ask the same questions. Are you sexually active? Have you practiced safer sex? Do you need to be tested? Do you want to be tested? So it's a big problem in that the doctors don't outreach to older adults about safer sex and sexual practices. When I finished speaking and I disclosed to them that at age 59 I was diagnosed HIV positive, I'm now 68 years old. And when I explained to them how I contracted the virus through unsafe sex, then they all understand that maybe they need to be tested. I don't ask anybody's business. I only suggest that they get tested. I have a tester with me, and they don't hesitate to get tested. I wasn't angry, upset, or bent out of shape when I was diagnosed because I knew I had been exposed. I knew there was a risk that I did have HIV, unlike most people. The person I was with, we had known each other for 40 years. We went to high school together. We grew up on the same block. And so we began a relationship. We were both in our 50s. I was widowed. His wife had left him. I was depressed because I was still grieving my husband, and he was in a bad place. So we were just two old friends leaning on each other. Consequently, we eventually had sex, unprotected sex, and he did not know how to disclose to me his status. Fast forward a couple of years, and he gets sick with pneumonia, and I asked a very important question: are you HIV positive? And he was honest and explained to me he just didn't know how to tell me for fear I too would leave him as his wife had. So I understood when I was tested that I was positive, but I would not die, that I could live a good life. And I immediately went into treatment. Get into treatment, stay safe, practice safer sex, and you will have a good life. HIV is not an end all. It's just an illness that has to be dealt with like diabetes and high blood pressure.